Everybody, it's Dixie here. There's about 15 minutes to the challenge submission deadline. So we're about to find out who's going to win individual immunity. It's a double this round, so somebody's immune on each tribe. Um, it's so hard to keep up with all the developments in the moving, shifting relationships here. Let's see what finally. Um, do, 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 do. Okay, so Urbosa went home. She kind of freaked out at the end. It was very extra. She basically proved the reason why she was somebody that nobody wanted to work with. She basically called everyone out, tagged Lendell, and basically dragged us all and talked about how tight we all were and had some pretty wild speculation on how she thinks the tribe layout is. And so yeah, it was interesting. But I'm glad she's gone because those kinds of stunts just kind of prove that there's really no benefit in working with a person like that because they're always going to choose the most chaotic, just last ditch Hail Mary no matter what. And I understand wanting to stay, but I think that there are ways to scramble without coming across as a total just sore loser, so to speak. Basically, there's a couple of considerations. Um, Liam had a kind of just like a note in the challenge that said that if somebody wins immunity and plays their key, immunity trumps the key, but the key isn't wasted. That person gets to keep the key and can play it again. Based on that language, it could be to throw us off, but based on that language, I think we probably aren't merging just yet. So what that means going forward, if there's another double and then merge, a single and a double and then merge, really hard to say just yet. All of that, though, kind of is to just expound upon. We have to be ready for potentially somebody winning immunity and then somebody else playing a key. So out of this group, kind of exiting the last vote, I was kind of thinking that a straightforward Leah vote might be the best. But I'm starting to worry about our good pal Steve and apparently what he's telling Conquer and Zag about kind of like what his ideal alliance is in this group. So it seems like Zag may have an affinity for Spyro. So there may be some sort of Spyro, Ochette, Steve trio going on, which Aerith seems to feel is likely. So Steve apparently was trying to push the idea of kind of a Zag, Conquer, Spyro, Quill, Steve, Ochette group. That's 6 people out of 9 people. And that leaves basically me, Leah, and Aerith as options for Steve, theoretically. I don't know if that's what Steve actually wants. Steve has a bit of a reputation for telling people what he thinks they want to hear, but worrisome nevertheless, just because Steve doesn't really talk game with me. He's a tough nut to crack. That said, Steve could win immunity, or if he doesn't, he could play his 150 monster key and flee tribal council. Now, he just said that he's leaving for a little while and will be around later tonight to talk. So maybe that means he didn't play his key. But we'll see. I think that a lot of eyes are going to be on Leah, outside of maybe Zag Conquer, myself, and possibly Aerith. So if Leah wins immunity, it'll be interesting um, to see kind of how the cards fall. Because if Leah's immune, that doesn't leave a lot of great options for anybody. Um, and if Leah's immune and Steve Keys, that's kind of like the nuclear scenario. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. But I guess if that does happen, we'd be 8 votes. I guess it would really depend. I mean, Spyro has an idol, so he could theoretically idol Quill. There's really no one else that I could see myself voting for but Quill in that scenario. So it's really hard. Immunity, I did my best, but I doubt it'll be enough. I just think there were a couple of places where it could have gone just a few seconds faster, so I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets it in a ridiculous, good amount of time. Ochette said she feels decent about it, but she also doesn't want to be seen as a challenge beast. So, I don't know. Leah said she feels decent about it. Spyro feels decent about it. Zag doesn't feel great. Conquer said he did laughably bad. Quilava doesn't feel great. Aerith doesn't feel great. So yeah, we'll have to see. Over on the other side, I'm rooting for Celestia. Obviously, I hope Celeste wins immunity and Doom Keys, because I think that is the best chaos scenario over there, especially with Zero having an idol. But small victories when we take what we can get. I guess with so much up in the air, it's hard to say what I'd like to see happen this round. I think that out of all these people, Steve does the least for my game. I think Leah is potentially a path of least resistance vote. And then Quill, I don't really want to vote Quill, but I also think that people see him as potentially a path of least resistance vote. So we're just going to have to see how immunity and any key plays shake out. I'm trying to make this one quick because I don't want it to be a challenge reveal reaction video. I'd rather just have this done. But I will do a quick tier list. I feel like it's changing kind of day by day. Back to trusting Aerith pretty much implicitly. I feel good about Conquer because Conquer is the one that's relaying the information about Steve to me. And while I think that Steve and Zag would, or Conquer and Zag would rather vote out Quill next over Steve, I think that a case could be made for why Steve needs to go, since he basically is telling them that he wants to work with everybody except for the 3 people that are closest to Conquer and Zag, in Leah, Aerith, and myself. Leah's interesting because we haven't really worked together much in the game, but I've been wishing her luck and immunity, trying to be warm to her just in anticipation of an immunity win, and I'm not opposed to working with her if necessary. A feels awfully high though, so I think I am going to put her in B, but it's a B that it could go up. It could go up based on just how things develop in the next few rounds. Ochette, I feel like, has been a little bit of a nervous Nelly around me since she found out that Jay/Spyro told me about his idol, because she didn't tell me. And I don't really care because, kind of the mind that, it's an awkward thing. I'm not telling people, I haven't told them that Zero has an idol. I haven't, and that's different, obviously, because Zero's not my ally in this game, and Spyro clearly is Ochette's ally. But she was very eager to kind of do damage control, so to speak, and connect with me to make sure I was good after learning from Spyro, I'm assuming, that he told me about his idol. I think Och wants to keep me around, but I think she might have other priorities in this game, so I'm just keeping that in mind. I'd like to sever that Steve relationship because I just don't know if Steve is going to do a lot for me in the long run, especially without an idol. He seems like he's close to Spyro, but Spyro, maybe Spyro's just down playing that relationship. But Spyro has done a lot of dragging of Steve to me and to Aerith too, I think. And so, in a scenario where Leo wins immunity and Steve is eligible, maybe that's the path of least resistance for Spyro. Um, so I'm going to put Steve at a D just because he talks zero. It's just there's nothing substantive that I'm getting from him. I think he's a nice person, but I think for my game, he doesn't. There's not a lot of value added. Quill, I'm going to put at a C because Quill, I think, is in a position where he knows that he is screwed on Gelmir if we win again. But I do feel like the personal relationship is solid between us. Zag, I'm going to put in an A. And then Spyro, I'm just a little bit frustrated with Spyro because I feel like Aerith told me the same thing. And so I'm a little bit frustrated with Aerith too. But Spyro and Aerith seem frustrated by my closeness with Conquer and Zag. But they have a relation. Spyro in particular has a relationship with Steve that is synonymous, it seems like. And the difference is it seems like Steve is gearing up to ideally come after me very soon, whereas I don't see Zag and Conquer coming after Spyro anytime soon. So I feel like Spyro is set up well, and it's a little bit annoying to feel like the bad guy because I'm set up well in the other direction. I don't want to be the hanger-on to Spyro and Ochet's kind of alliance structure. So yeah, so for now, Spyro's in that B tier. I'd still not write his name down, but I just think we're in a weird place. Yeah, let's see here what these folks have to say. So Quilava is so funny. Introducing him to the joys of Zing Zing the monkey. Love her. She's kind of a Dixie avatar to me. Just her whole personality. Let's see if there's anything of substance. Oh, downpour walking your dog. Okay. All right. This is too much. Okay. That's all I have to say right now. I am going to go ahead and just finish this video off. Not a lot. I just wanted to do a quick update before the challenge gets posted. Anyway, love you all. Miss you all. Bye.